Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back in for another episode of Swiss Cheese and Beats. My name is Daniel. This is episode 22, and today we're going to be reviewing our second practice pad of the show, and that is the Evans RealFeel 12-inch and 6-inch double-sided practice pads. Before getting started, I'd like to give all of you a huge thank you. We are closing in on the 900 subscriber mark, which is absolutely incredible. And if you're new here, please take a look around. If you happen to like what you see, consider hitting that red subscribe button down below and join the community. And of course, gotta give a huge shout out to Kyle Thomas and the ProMark team for being so gracious and sending these two pads for us to review today on the show. I will say this, if there's one thing that I definitely will buy all the time, even though I don't need it, it's more practice pads. It's definitely not a problem though. I completely have it under control. I feel you judging me right now. So getting into the pads, the very first version of the RealFeel practice pad actually came out in the late 80s and early 90s. They were being distributed and created by a company called HQ Percussion. In fact, I remember it was the mid 90s or so, 94, 95, that they were just blowing up here in Texas. In fact, I still have the second practice pad I ever purchased, which was an HQ double-sided RealFeel. In fact, this thing is like a workhorse. It's still going strong. It's like 30 years old now. As I said it to you, I just realized how old this pad really is. Yikes. You're getting old, man. So at that time, HQ's distributing the pads, everything's going really well, they're super popular, and then in 2004, Diodario ends up buying the HQ Percussion company and have since then made some significant upgrades to the pad that are now out on the market today. So the first of the two pads we're gonna talk about is the 12-inch version, which is model number RF12D. So getting into the specs of the pad does have a 12-inch diameter. However, this is only the diameter of the playing surface area. So the rubber gum surface here, from the edge of the rubber gum surface all the way to the other edge of it, is 12-inch diameter. You see the wood frame that's sticking out on every side of the pad, and this actually adds an extra inch to the diameter. So the playing surface is a 12-inch diameter, but the pad itself is a 13-inch diameter. The top side of the pad is made up of a rubber gum material, has a little bit of a grain to it, but it's so fine that it's still smooth. But the grain actually works out really well because if you want to play out on the second side and you're putting it on a surface, it's not going to go anywhere, it's going to grip pretty well. So this comes in right at a 1/4 inch thickness, and then it sits on a wood base here that's actually made of a recycled wood composite material, and this measures right at 5/8 of an inch. The second side of the pad is made up of a recycled rubber material, which is pretty firm, pretty loud, right, but also serves as a great gripping surface. That way if you want to play on the top spot, you also have something here to keep it nice and sturdy. Also has a 1/4 inch in thickness, so you can kind of see that here, that they're both pretty equal, and all together with the top and bottom as well as the wood frame measures right over an inch in thickness. The weight of the pad comes in right at 3 pounds 10 ounces, so it's a pretty solid build. I wouldn't be worried about anything other than the normal wear and tear, but granted, because of the weight, if you were to drop it, it may take a ding or two, but that's what that wood surface on the outside is for, to really protect the most important part of the pad, which are the playing surfaces. The 6-inch version of the pad, which is model RF6D, is the same as far as build goes with the 12-inch. So both playing surfaces are right over 1/4 of an inch. That middle wood platform is right at 5/8 of an inch, so you're still looking at an overall thickness of right over 1 inch. The only thing that changes, obviously, is the size and the weight. So the diameter of the playing surface on both sides is going to be 6 inches, but that wood frame is going to stick out just like in the 12-inch model, so the overall diameter of the entire pad is 7 inches, and the weight is right under 1 pound. The size of the 6-inch version is definitely convenient, pretty easy to travel with. It fits inside of a pocket of a very basic stick bag, so you know if it fits in that size of pocket, it's gonna pretty much fit in any bag you carry. As far as the 12-inch version goes, you know how when it comes to any pad, I'm not a fan of carrying pads in my hands, especially when I'm on the move. So gotta make sure it fits in the backpack, and of course this model passes the test. As far as feel is concerned, when you play the 12-inch model, the rubber gum side is pretty compressed, it's pretty dense, so you're gonna get a lot of fast action, a lot of rebound out of it. It feels very comparable to a modern snare drum head that's pretty tight on a marching drum. And because of the compression of the rubber gum material, it's gonna create this nice middle frequency pitch whenever you strike the pad, so you're not gonna have an issue hearing anything whether it's on the low end or high end of the dynamic range, as well as it's gonna make the rim shots pretty crisp, but definitely not overbearing. As far as the recycled rubber side goes, this material is pretty dense, it's pretty solid. In fact, it's a lot more solid in person than I would have expected it to be just from looking at a picture. So this is definitely a positive because you're still gonna get a lot of action, a lot of quick rebound out of this side of the pad. The other benefit from that is that the volume and the pitch of the pad are significantly higher than the gum side. So you're definitely not gonna have any issue hearing yourself on any side of the dynamic range, in any practice environment really. The only thing I would be concerned about is that if you hit that rim shot just the right way, it might be a little loud. As far as playing the 6-inch model, on the gum side, you're gonna get a slightly faster action on this than you would the 12-inch model. It's not much, but it's enough to notice a difference. As far as pitch is concerned, it's gonna be a significantly higher tone, probably about an octave, maybe a little bit more. You're not gonna have any problem feeling everything pretty clearly in your hands when you play this pad, but you might have a little bit of an issue hearing things on the low end, especially depending on what type of environment you're in. When it comes to rim shots on the 6-inch model, they are gonna sound a little thinner, but it really only has to do with the size of the pad, because if you're striking here in the middle, you don't have a lot of stick to work with all the way to the edge. As far as the recycled rubber side goes on the 6-inch model, this side is significantly faster in action versus the 12-inch. The pitch and tone on this side is definitely higher, so you're not gonna have an issue hearing yourself in any type of environment. And the shots definitely pop like the 12-inch. There's just a little bit of a texture change, a little bit of a timbre change, simply because, again, of the size. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a sound test of both the 12-inch and the 6-inch pads. For the 6-inch, I'm actually gonna place it on top of the 12-inch pad, and the reason is because of the size, you definitely wanna place this on some type of surface in order to practice. I guess technically you could try to balance it on your legs, but I wouldn't recommend it simply because it doesn't always allow for the optimal approach for efficient practice. And as a reference for you during the sound test, I'm going to be using the ProMark DC8 Jeff Osdemore snare drumsticks. So both of these pads definitely do the job. They feel good, they sound great. I definitely prefer the 12-inch model just because I like seeing the entire perspective of the drum in front of me. However, I think the 6-inch pad really works well for those of you guys that are gigging regularly. You just want something small to like warm up on, but you don't want to carry anything larger than what will fit into your stick bag. I definitely think it works great in that application. As always, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Do you guys prefer the recycled rubber side? Do you prefer the gum rubber side? Please leave your feedback and any other questions down below in the comments. Also for you guys, if you are considering purchasing one of these pads, I did leave a couple of links for you down below. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd be so kind to consider sharing this video using those share options down below. And of course, if you have yet to do so, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you next time.